Hey, it's Kay. Welcome back to Bonelli, the only place on YouTube where the avocado is always free. And it is Halloween today. Happy Halloween. So because it is Halloween today, I decided that we are going to be watching a spooky little show. So once upon a time in 1996, which was like a million years ago, I was like 8 years old and I was obsessed with Goosebumps. I loved reading Goosebumps. I watched it. I would read it all the time. Like I had almost all of the Goosebumps that had been out. I was so obsessed with them. And I also would watch it on TV like every day after school. And there was this one month, which I believe was in February, if my research is correct, of 1996, when they were going to be premiering a brand new Goosebumps episode, and it was called A Night in Terror Tower.
Danger!
Did you see that?
Getting into this haunted castle is easy.
Welcome to the torture chamber.
Getting out
You can't escape me!
can be murder.
I'm sure that's not part of the tour.
Based on R.L. Stein's bestsellers,
Bring forth the condemned.
Goosebumps, A Night in Terror Tower, Sunday.
Now, my little brother, he's not little anymore, but my younger brother, Kevin, I'm going to put his face right here. This guy, this little culprit, he did not like Goosebumps. Now, he was probably like 5 at the time, so it makes sense that it was probably a little scary to him. But we would always have this like argument over who got to be in charge of the TV. And because I was older, I'm like the oldest, of course, I was always the boss of the TV. But somehow on this very particular day, he won. And we didn't get to watch the Goosebumps that I really wanted to watch. And this was back before streaming and all of that. So, I mean, if I missed it, like, who knows when it was going to be able to be back on TV again. You know, I couldn't just like record it or anything. Like, it was going to premiere. And if it was not on, then I couldn't watch it. So, so he won and somehow we ended up not watching it. I don't know how he did that, but he did. And I was pretty disappointed, to say the least, because I had been like waiting and waiting and waiting to watch this very specific episode. And so I'm obviously over it now. I'm fine now. I'm over it. I'm not even still bitter about that day in 1996 in February. But luckily the internet is here, and so today we are actually going to be watching Goosebumps, A Night in Terror Tower, and luckily it was on YouTube. I found it on a YouTube page called Super Nostalgia, so thank you to Super Nostalgia for uploading this because it was very helpful. Now, I think if I remember correctly, this was a special episode, and so it was like an hour long, where normally Goosebumps wasn't an hour long, because when I went to go record it, I realized that it was 44 minutes long, so that's pretty long for an episode of Goosebumps. We're gonna get right into this spooky Goosebumps. So yeah, here we go. In the opening, we have a nice little moment with the author himself, Mr. R.L. Stein, and he's explaining what episode we are about to watch. He's not a good actor. He's an author. He's not a good actor, but anyways, this is him.
Oh, hello. I'm R.L. Stein. I write the Goosebumps books. Today's story is A Night in Terror Tower. It all begins right here, in the torture chamber. Eddie and Sue are about to make their first visit. It might also be their last. Do you know the scariest part of the tour? It's trying to get out. I hope you enjoy your visit. Excuse me, miss. Could I get this gift wrapped?
The scariest part is trying to get out. He is terrifying. Ooh. Okay, so the episode opens with Sue and Eddie, and they are in, I'm assuming somewhere in England? I don't know. Somewhere in Europe, I guess. And they are on a tour. They have a tour guide, and they said they've been like going to a lot of museums and boring stuff, but Eddie really wants to go to Terror Tower because it looks the very spookiest.
London, see Terror Tower. A nice place to visit, but you wouldn't want to stay too long.
Whoa, I'd like to see the tower, where they lock people up and torture them.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. But I'll bet you anything, we're gonna go to another boring museum.
And so, just to establish, Eddie is a pickpocket. He's very sneaky.
It was my film. I know I had another role.
Mad pickpocket strikes again.
Noxious little brother strikes again.
Foreshadowing. Very sneaky guy. Now, their parents are at a business conference, so their parents aren't with them, but they get their wish and they get to go to Terror Tower, which is very lucky because that's where Eddie really wanted to go. Oh, they are in London. Sorry, I missed that part. The bus says London Coach Tour. So yes, they are in London. Now, are you ready for some real spooky stuff? Get ready. Don't pee your pants about this, okay? It's a little spooky. But here we go.
They used to lock them up in the tower and let them starve to death.
That was hundreds of years ago, Eddie. Now they just sell postcards.
Still looks pretty creepy.
Go back! Go back! Go back! Run for your life!
What's wrong, Eddie?
Up there.
There. What?
I thought... Never mind.
Ghost on the roof. And he's telling them to get out. And Eddie, he just pretends that I guess he's, I don't know, having hallucinations. He probably doesn't want to sound like a crazy person. So instead, he just pretends like he saw nothing. And they go into Terror Tower.
Please, stay together. Later, it became a prison. That started many years of cruel...
And they're walking forever inside this tower. And the weird tour guide guy does this.
Everybody in?
Guards.
I'm so sorry. I'm afraid I have to give you some rather bad news.
Bad news?
You will be imprisoned in the North Tower. There, you will be tortured until you tell us the real reason you chose to come here.
Tortured? Did he say tortured?
Take them away.
Just a little Terror Tower joke.
Oh, phew. I thought for sure they were going to be stuck in there forever. My favorite thing is this guy's mustache back here. Can we just take a moment to appreciate his mustache? That is the scariest part of this whole episode, I think, is that mustache. Night in Terror Tower. Freaking broom face over there.
Welcome to the torture chamber.
So they go up the stairs into the torture chamber, which I hate. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that these are supposed to be wax figures, but they're actually, I believe, real people. If you watch, like, the dude behind them who's, like, supposedly, like, on this thing, his head keeps moving all over the place. Later, things start moving around, so maybe that was their point, but like they never really draw attention to it, which makes me think that they just forgot to tell him to stop moving all around because he keeps looking in every which way. They keep like not being with the group, which is just so dumb. I don't know why these kids keep doing this, but now they're going to take a picture with the Axeman. If you haven't peed your pants yet, this might be the part.
Great, hold it just like that.
Hurry up. Can't hold this stupid look much longer.
Just a sec.
Forget it. I'm going to see the thumb screws.
narrowly escaped. Now the thing is she starts shouting, but like to no one. Like they didn't explain to him, hey, this guy just like, you know, came to life, tried to chop my head off. Instead they say nothing, but then she just starts shouting as the whole tour guide, like as the whole tour group just leaves. I don't know.
You mustn't touch the displays. It's very bad form. Why do parents let children go off on their own?
But I...
The North Tower is next. I hope you're wearing your climbing shoes.
I know, it moved. I could have sworn.
This whole tour group, Mustache Man, all of them, they're really frustrated with these kids. So frustrating. Like right after that, I don't know what Eddie's thinking. Like he saw a ghost on the roof. He just saw his sister like get attacked by the axe dude. And then the very next scene, he does this.
They're only wax.
Right.
Only wax.
Eddie.
Maybe let's not try to bother the figures that we see, wax or otherwise. Let's maybe not do that. But he does. Like, do you want to place your bets now on whether or not this guy isn't really made of wax and then he's going to come alive? Go ahead. Put your bet in the comments. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, that guy moves his little head and we're frightened. So now we get to hear this very sad story about a prince and a princess. So I'm gonna let that go real quick.
This is the chamber where the most important political prisoners were kept. Perhaps you can feel sadness in this room. It was here, in the early 15th century, that the young prince and princess of York.
That dude's mustache, I cannot. There is no way that is a real mustache. What is happening on his upper lip there? Sir, you need a doctor. I don't want a mustache shame, but it...
Imagine 2 children dragged away from their home, locked away in a drab chill of this cell at the top of the tower.
What happened to them?
The prince and princess weren't here for long. That night as they slept, the Lord High Executioner's men crept up the stairs. Their orders to kill the 2 children.
That's pretty terrifying. Okay, now Sue and Eddie, they meet back up with fake Zorro. And he is trying to capture them. So they take off running, and they're running around, and they bang on this door trying to, I mean, it's the worst banging I've ever seen trying to get through a door. They really need to work on trying to get through a door because they're terrible at it. No wonder why they were having such a hard time. They see this guy, which I don't know if I'm right about this, and I might be wrong, but he kind of looks like the older brother from Malcolm in the Middle. I could be mistaken. I was going to look it up. I didn't. I should. He looks like him. They're running some more, and the desperado with the black cap captures Eddie.
No! Let me go!
And he must not be very strong because Sue just whacks him in the back of the wax arm that she found, and that stops him. So then they keep running, and they're running, and they're running, and then they finally come out of a sewer grate just right outside of the tower. So that was pretty lucky for them. But then they get caught by the security guard for the tower, and he says that they're almost closed, and what the heck are you kids doing in the sewer, and what are you doing out here, and you should be with the tour, and they're not, and so now they're in trouble, and he's going to call the police.
I should call the police.
But then they see a taxi, so they run away, and they tell the taxi man, we gotta get out of here.
Where to?
The Balmoral.
And then they get in the taxi, and so then they go back to the hotel where their parents were having a conference. But now here's the problem.
That'll be £12.60.
I don't really know your money. Could you get the right amount from these?
What are those?
They get back to the hotel, and the money in the bag that their parents gave them for while they were on their tours that day isn't the right kind of money.
Coins, isn't it enough?
Oh, don't play games with me. Those aren't real coins. We take British pounds here.
But why would their parents give them weird money? Now, the taxi man is very ticked, and he's like, you get in there in 5 minutes and figure out the money situation, or I'm coming in there. And I don't know what his plan is, but here's him being grouchy about it.
Are you going to pay me in British pounds, or are we going to have major trouble?
Right. So they get into the hotel, and they tell the guy at the hotel that they need to find their parents, but where's the conference? And the hotel guy is all like,
Beg your pardon, but there is no conference right now at the hotel.
and they're like,
But our parents said.
and then the guy's like,
Well, perhaps you misunderstood then.
then they're like, well, maybe we can just get our room key. And then they say our room number is,
1415.
and then the guy says,
That room is vacant.
so what the heck is going on, right? Then we get this view from the front desk hotel man.
Don't you run along. And when you figure out who you are, come back. I'll be glad to help you then.
Goosebumps, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if R.L. Stine like helped to direct these, or if this was just a different director that directed all of his episodes of Goosebumps. But for whatever reason, when somebody's about to be like really mad or like really scary, and it's supposed to be like a scary point of the episode, they always do like this fisheye thing on the adults. Like, if you've ever watched Goosebumps, I swear it's like always like this, like they're looming over you, and it's like, I don't know why they do that. It's kind of weird. But anyways, so they can't remember their last names. There's nobody in their room. Their parents are gone. And then this mean lady in the pink coat is like, am I ever going to be able to get into this hotel?
You think it might be possible to check into this hotel sometime this evening?
She's rude. She's real rude. These kids are having a crisis, and she could care less. So they can't pay the taxi man, and they see him like coming into the lobby, so they get a little bit scared.
The driver.
So then they run into the restaurant of the hotel. But the dude's like, you can't come in here without a jacket.
As I'm sure you are aware, a jacket is required for gentlemen in the Balmoral Lounge.
And they sit them in the back of the restaurant. And they are just losing their little sewer dirt face minds. They're real stressed. And then something weird happens.
Why can't we remember our last name, Sue? I don't know. If only we could find Mom and Dad.
Eddie, I can't even remember what they look like.
What's wrong with us? Sue, what's the matter?
So that was strange. And then the taxi man comes in. So they run, and then this happens.
Grab those kids!
Yeah, that's a bummer for her for sure. And then they're in the kitchen, and Eddie's like, what is this place? And Sue's like, I think it's the kitchen.
What is this place?
I guess it's the hotel kitchen.
Yeah, really, Sue? Really? Like, Eddie, come on. You can't look around and see some vegetables and a bunch of cutting areas and put two and two together, friend. Like, come on, man. And then they see one of, like, the hotel workers, and they duck behind the counter. I don't know how these kids, like, ran into the kitchen and nobody noticed. And also, why is there nobody in the kitchen in this restaurant? Like, that seems strange. There's a bunch of people out there without any food, and you're just Where's the kitchen? Where's the kitchen, people? Who knows? And then the man in the Darkwing Duck cosplay comes up.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
He has like a rock, and he's like, Shamane, shamana, shumana. Well, I'll let him do it.
Novero.
Stop that!
And then they get flashbulbed away. So they flash away, and then Sue wakes up on a ground.
Eddie? Eddie?
Like, oh, I hope Eddie's here, but guess what? He's not. And she walks outside and take a look at this place. Now, what the heck is all this about? Am I right? Now, everybody is really scared of her because she's wearing a denim and flannel jacket. And, I mean, Jean on Jean is kind of coming back, but maybe at this time it was, I don't know, they're all real scared of her. And so she's scary to them. Maybe it's the bangs. I don't know.
Are we a traveler?
This little girl looks like, I mean, I know that people back in the day maybe didn't take baths a lot, but man, oh man, you would think that someone would have saw that kid and just at least put a little water on that face, right? Like, that kid's been through something. So everybody's running away from her, and she's like, why is everybody running away? And then there's this really scary woman who's like, I smell evil on you. And I'll let her do it because it's weird.
Looking for my brother. He's wearing regular clothes like me. Have you seen him?
It's too late for the boy.
What does that mean?
I smell evil. Evil all around you. Your time is coming, dearie.
So then the desperado shows up again, and he is like, I'm going to catch that girl. And she's like, no, you're not. So then she goes running away, and she finds this lady.
You've got to hide me.
And the woman's like, no, I'm not helping you. I don't want to get into any trouble. And then she's like, okay, well, what about for all my money?
I'll pay you. Here, take them. Take them all.
And the money that she had in her little bag is actually money that these people use. So it's like actual like gold and silver money. So look how happy this lady is about it.
Oh, sovereigns. I saw one once when I was a small lass.
And so then the lady's like, yeah, I'll help you. And she shoves her into this little basket underneath this chicken.
Into the basket.
But then watch what this lady does.
I'm looking for the girl.
She's right here, sire. I put her right here in this basket. She's all wrapped up and ready for you to take her away.
How dare you take this poor girl's money, her weird money that she didn't know why she had. How dare you take that money and then give her over to the Dark Knight? And then from the thief lady, though, we learned that he's actually the head executioner. So that's terrifying for everybody involved, right? So now we have a situation where two children are about to be murdered. Do you call back to remember the story in the tower? Remember? Two kids. All right, so she meets up with Eddie.
Sue! Eddie! I was hoping you got away!
So they're in the dungeon and this guy shows up and he's like, well, he's acting all weird. I'll let him do his thing.
Your Grace, I wish I could say I rejoice at your return. May I rise?
Yeah, sure.
And so Sue's like, okay, sure.
Your Grace.
No, it's okay.
Man, kissing Eddie on the hand is like the last thing he wants. He's seen a ghost on a tower. His sister almost got beheaded. He got flashlight bulbed into a dungeon. But for some reason, the most intense reaction that he's had throughout this entire ordeal is this guy trying to kiss his hand. Like, that really set him off. Do not kiss Eddie's hand. Okay, so we learned this guy's name. His name is...
My name is Margaret.
His name is Morgred. And he's going to explain to you who he is. I'm just going to let him talk.
I am the King's sorcerer.
Sorcerer. Did you bring us back in time?
It's not an easy story to tell. You are not.
Honestly terrifying. I mean, imagine watching this as like an 8-year-old. Like, that's kind of scary. Maybe it's a good thing that I missed out on this episode, because good heavens. They start to remember who they are, and they open up the dungeon, and look. Now they're dressed in fancy prince and princess clothes. What a turn of events. They drag him down to the dungeon, and the guy's like, well, time for me to be terrible. And Morgred's all like,
My lord high executioner. Spare the girl and boy. Do with me as you must. But first allow me to send them into the future. What harm can they possibly do you there?
And allow them to grow up and become strong, to find a way to return and take their revenge? I think not.
but Eddie decides that he's going to go try to reason with the crazy... Hi, Joe. Eddie decides that he is going to go and try to reason with the execution man. So he runs over to him.
Please, help me! Edward!
But do you remember Eddie's special trick? That little sneaky snake. So he throws the coins. And Morgred, that, I don't know, that guy, he catches the stones and ready. Ooh, just in the nick of time. See, what's weird is when the guy with the black hat did it, they like flash bulbed, but when Morgred does it, they like glitter gold away. I don't know what the difference is, but they glitter gold away.
I could get in trouble.
And they're back on a cold stone floor.
There you are. We've been looking all over for you.
The tour guide!
We made it! Yes!
They made it! And he's really mad because they've been really annoying this whole tour. And then Margaret shows up and gives a very lengthy explanation on who he is. Like, very unneeded.
Margaret!
Mr. Margaret, I'm Sue and Eddie's guardian. They're my responsibility. I'll make sure they don't get lost again.
And they go back to the bus, and these people talk about how terrible those children are.
Those children should be disciplined.
And then they decide to ask what happened to the prince and princess. So here's this.
Excuse me, but we never heard the rest of the story.
Yeah, what happened to the prince and princess in the tower?
Nobody knows exactly. When the king came to the dungeon, the prince and the princess were gone. What happened to them is a mystery to this day.
Because they know what happened. Ha ha ha. But then Morgred goes into his pocket. And he only has 2 stones. So then he says,
Edward! Have you been up to your tricks again?
and then Eddie says,
Hey, don't look at me!
so where's the 3rd stone? cliffhanger. Whew. And you know what? I don't even think there was ever a sequel, so the thing about R.L. Stine is he always leaves it on some kind of like thing where the bad stuff is still going to happen. That's what he likes. So basically, these kids are still in danger. I don't know if there was a second one. So that is Night in Terror Tower. I don't know that it was worth 44 minutes of my life. I think as a kid, I would have probably been real scared. That's Goosebumps for you. What a time. Go ahead and comment down below if this was ever one of your favorite Goosebumps episodes, or if you had a favorite Goosebumps episode, or what your very favorite scary movie is to watch on Halloween. And thank you so much for watching. If you stayed all the way to the end, please subscribe and hit the like button. And that's all for today. Have a happy Halloween, and I will see you next time. Bye. Your sweetheart. This is my big Joe. Say hello to the people. She said hello. I don't think she wanted to say hello.
Live in the moment till I die.